All right, welcome to this explainer. If you're a technical leader managing an installed base enterprise system, like SAP or Oracle, you're probably feeling that massive pressure right now to integrate AI. But you also know the massive roadblocks that usually come with it. So today, we're diving into a real game changer, Pillir Flow. It essentially acts as the AI execution engine for these highly complex systems of record. It allows you to connect any AI to your ERP and execute real work inside those systems, natively, without needing some massive multi-year rebuild.
Which really brings us to the elephant in the room, and frankly the core dilemma that keeps security teams up at night. Can AI actually access your ERP without touching your data? I mean, if you're a CISO or a CIO, your absolute worst nightmare is dropping an autonomous AI agent into your core ERP and just watching your most sensitive business data leak right out into a public language model. Right now, that fear is literally the defining bottleneck of AI adoption in the enterprise.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the AI integration problem, then look at a new paradigm, using instructions instead of data. Next, we'll peek inside the execution engine itself, cover the core differentiators, and wrap up with bulletproof enterprise security.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the AI integration problem.
So look at how we usually do things. Most AI to ERP integrations require this incredibly complex chain of APIs, middleware, and data connectors. And let's be honest, every single hop in that chain is a massive risk. Traditionally, to get an AI agent to actually do something in SAP, it has to pull records out of the system, process them outside in the AI layer, and push the results back in. Every round trip forces your business data completely outside your protective walls.
And this traditional setup, it's incredibly fragile. First off, it forces your vendor masters, your purchase orders, your financial data right outside your security perimeter. Second, it creates heavy maintenance dependencies. Because of this complex chain, every single time there's an SAP version change, something breaks. Update a customization, boom, your APIs break. You end up spending way more time just maintaining the integration than you do actually benefiting from the AI.
Which brings us to Section 2, instructions instead of data.
Think of this whole thing like a restaurant. The old way, that data exchange model, is literally like taking all your raw ingredients out of the SAP kitchen, walking them down the street to some external AI kitchen, cooking the meal over there, and then awkwardly carrying the finished plate back into your restaurant. It's risky and wildly inefficient. Pillir Flow uses what we call work instructions. It just hands a recipe, the instruction, directly to your head chef inside the SAP kitchen. The ingredients, your data, never actually leave the building.
So how does this lifecycle actually flow? Well, step 1, the AI agent sends a specific instruction, something like create a purchase order for vendor X. Step 2, Pillir Flow routes it. Step 3, the SAP add-on receives that instruction securely inside your firewall. Step 4, SAP executes the task natively using your very own business logic. And finally, step 5, a simple confirmation is sent back to the agent. PO created. That's it. No actual PO data, no customer records, and absolutely no financial details ever leave SAP. The AI just directs the work, but the system of records stays put.
Moving right along to Section 3, inside the execution engine. Let's see how this is actually built.
What's amazing here is that Pillir Flow is remarkably lean. It's really just two halves. First, you have the MCP server, which acts as your AI connectivity layer, and second, you have the SAP add-on, which is your native execution component. Let's break those down a bit to map out the architecture.
The MCP server sits right alongside your SAP environment, and its whole job is to make Pillir Flow discoverable to literally whatever AI agent you want to use. It's completely AI agnostic. So whether your enterprise is all in on Claude, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, AWS Kiro, or even your own custom agents, the MCP server translates that connection. It's already listed in the major MCP directories, and it handles all the authentication, the LLM configurations, and the policy monitoring.
Then we have the add-on. Now this gets installed right inside your SAP instance using a standard SAP transport. And get this, that is the only installation required on the ERP side. Because it sits natively inside, it can reach your BAPIs, your non-remote function modules, and your tables directly. But the absolute best part? It executes against your custom Z code. Plus, it's totally version independent. The exact same add-on runs whether you're dealing with older ECC systems or modern S/4HANA.
All right, Section 4, the core differentiators.
Now, what's really interesting here is the massive amount of technical debt that just disappears with this setup. There are absolutely no APIs to enable, maintain, or version. None. No massive middleware platforms you have to go license and deploy, and those customizations, your custom business logic and Z code that an external API could never normally expose, they suddenly become huge assets, not barriers to your AI integration. You are executing directly against your actual, real-world SAP landscape.
And that brings us to a phrase I really want you to remember: guaranteed by architecture, not by policy. Let me say that again, because it's that important. Guaranteed by architecture, not by policy. You aren't just crossing your fingers and relying on a written rule or a trust agreement to make sure your data doesn't leak to an LLM. The system literally lacks the physical pathway to expose your data. It is a hard-coded reality of the architecture.
Let's bring it home with Section 5, Bulletproof Enterprise Security.
First up, data residency. Because the AI is literally only sending work instructions and never actually pulling records out, your data residency is completely locked down. The AI layer never even sees your vendor master, your purchase orders, or your financials. The data just flat out never leaves SAP.
Second is role-based authorization. When that AI agent executes a task, it is operating strictly within the existing SAP authorization profile of the human user who triggered the request. It absolutely cannot exceed those limits. SAP's native role-based access control acts as your single enforcement point, natively handling all your segregation of duties.
Third, you get a full audit trail. Every single action the AI takes is logged natively inside SAP. It's timestamped and it's traceable directly back to both the AI agent and the individual user. Every execution is fully auditable end-to-end. I mean, your internal audit and compliance teams are going to absolutely love this.
And this brilliantly illustrates the comprehensive enterprise security at play here. Pillir Flow installs right inside the SAP instance, seamlessly respecting your existing SAP single sign-on. You don't have to build, buy, or map out some complicated separate identity layer just so the AI knows who's who. It simply leverages the governance you've already spent years perfecting.
So what does it actually take to get this up and running? Well, technically, you just need to deploy the MCP server and install the SAP add-on via a standard transport into your dev or sandbox system. You'll need access to the custom BAPIs and Z code for the process you want to automate, plus a few test users. And on the people side, super lean. You need a functional expert who actually knows the target process, an SAP technical resource who understands your custom code, and a decision maker to approve the scope. That's the whole shebang. Because you're entirely skipping those painful, months-long API enablement projects and totally bypassing middleware, the timeline is just drastically compressed. You can literally have this installed in days, and you can have AI agents executing real work inside your systems in weeks. It fundamentally changes the speed at which a modern enterprise can realize real ROI from AI.
Which leaves us with one final thought to consider. With data privacy completely solved by architecture and those old barriers of APIs and middleware out of the way, the only thing left to ask is this: is your business logic ready for AI? Think about the specific custom Z code that makes your enterprise unique. What would happen if you could just activate that code with an AI agent tomorrow? That is the power of Pillir Flow. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to start mapping out which of your internal processes you'd want to hand over to an AI execution engine first.